Hey, how's it going on, Bridgepoint? Thanks so much for joining us for another devotional on this Monday. I hope they are encouraging to you. If it's your first time here, I'm going to go and encourage you to hit that subscribe button and that bell notification just so you can be notified whenever we post another devotional so you can continue to be encouraged throughout your week. Hey, so for today, I want to talk about Noah and something that he did that we obviously all have heard about and we all know that he did, which is he built an ark. Now, huge ship that he built with his bare hands. And not only was it built to save animals, but it was actually built to save his family. Aside from him and his wife, his kids were also on this boat, and they too were saved from the flood based on the righteousness that Noah had. Now, obviously, many of us aren't building any boats or probably aren't building any houses with our bare hands, in this century, in this era. However, there are things that we are building that I think are pretty important. You are building a future, you are building a home, you are building a family, you are building a foundation, even for your children as they grow up and just kind of how they develop and the morals and the priorities that they have for their life based on what you are teaching them. So in this sense, I wanted to talk a little bit about that future and that lifestyle and those priorities that we are building for our life and how important it is for us to take some matters that Noah took in building this ark and how we can implement them in our lives. Now, I have never built my own home before or anything like that, like as in from ground up, not even by hiring a contractor. Like I'm just not there in my life yet. But I have watched a lot of HGTV. So obviously I am an expert at this. But one of the funny things about remodeling a house or building a house that I see time and time again are three things. First of all, it takes longer than you planned. I've witnessed myself, my parents remodeled their bathroom just several months ago. They were told it was going to take just a couple of weeks. I think it turned into like almost 2 months before they actually finished the bathroom. And that was just the bathroom. Now, bigger scale, think about a whole house or building it from ground up. Many times it takes longer than you are planning. Another thing about it is that it costs more than you figured. Sometimes you make your calculations, you say it's gonna cost X amount of dollars, and you're like, I'll even add an extra X amount of dollars just in case. And even then, sometimes the cost of remodeling or building this is sometimes greater than what we expect. And then the other thing too that's pretty important is that it requires determination and more patience than you expect. Many times, I keep going back to the bathroom, situation with my parents just because it's the most recent thing in my mind, And I know that once it got to that first deadline, they were told it was going to take 2.5 weeks or whatever. Once it got to 3 weeks, once it got to 4 weeks, they had to really be patient in the process and understand that there was work being done and maybe it was just taking longer than we anticipated, and that's okay. They had to set their vision and their determination on that goal. What was that finished bathroom going to look like? What was that finished house going to look like? And think of it in Noah's eyes. Like Noah was building, and separate to remodeling a bathroom where everyone's like, wow, you're remodeling a bathroom. Like Noah was building an ark, claiming that it was going to flood during a time where there was a drought, like there was no rain. People were laughing at him as he was building an ark. Think of someone, in the desert building a boat and saying like, oh, it's gonna rain so much that I'm gonna just row myself out of here. It seems crazy, yet he was doing it, first of all, out of obedience to God, but secondly, to save these animals and save his family. Like he cared for his family so much that he did not care being called some crazy dude because he knew that he would be saving his family. He knew that he was providing the vessel that was going to hold his kids in which they would be saved in. Now, a couple things to consider. A strong home requires three things. A strong home requires three things. Check this out. It requires a foundation, it requires walls, and it requires a roof. Okay? A foundation, walls, and a roof. That's what a stable home, a strong home requires. Now, what do those things represent? It represents these three things. It represents stability. How many homes, how many families do we know that are unstable? Like there's no stability there. And I hate to say this, but many people that are in the dating world right now are not contributing to a stability mindset in their lives. They literally date someone differently every few weeks. It's like one day they have a girlfriend, the next day they have a different girlfriend, and they're dating somebody else, and they no longer, and there is no stability. It's almost as if they're not even attempting to resolve any things with anyone. They just want to find that perfect person. And I hate to tell you this, but there is no such thing as the perfect person for you. You know, who is that one individual that you are willing to work with and resolve things and work towards goals together and build a life together? That is the stability that your kids are going to need. When you get married and you have a spouse and you have your kids, they need a stable father. They need a stable mother. They need someone who will be there, present, who will be there to encourage them, who will be there to answer questions, who will be there to guide them through life, who will be there to teach them how to depend on God, how to ask for direction from God, how to seek what God has developed and planned for their lives, and how to discover that. You know, we need that stability at home as well. You know, the walls, what does that represent? It represents security. You know, we need security in our future. We need security in our homes. And many times we are responsible for that security. And I mean, we not as like men, you know, I mean, we as individuals in our family, like there are aspects of security. Like I as the father or the husband of my home, provide some security, but I'm not the only one responsible for security. My wife also brings security into our home. And so we all have a share in bringing security in our home. And in our future, we have certain decisions that we have to make, certain priorities we have to make in order to be able to establish security in our future. But aside from us, we have to depend on the one that will bring ultimate security to our lives and to our family and to our future, and that is God. God has to be there to keep us all together, to keep our walls up so that we can have that security He provides. And then lastly, the roof. What does that represent? It represents serenity. Serenity, it represents the peace of God to dwell upon our family, our home. You know, there's nothing worse than looking into your future and not seeing or not feeling the serenity, not feeling the peace. You know, there's nothing like waking up and already hating the day that is to come, not feeling peace, not feeling at ease, not feeling that God is in the midst, not feeling like you have, in a sense, authority or victory upon whatever's going to come your way. You almost wake up knowing you are defeated. You wake up knowing that you're not going to be able to accomplish something, or that you're going to feel, you know, a certain way or whatever. You have to wake up knowing that God's peace is upon you, and you have to declare that, and you have to walk in that and have that serenity even for your future. And I want to finish off with this. Truly in our lives, we are under attack constantly. And I even talked about how Noah was being attacked audibly by people, but I can almost assure you, I wonder, like, was his stuff ever vandalized? I wonder if like people ever threw stuff at him, if people would make fun of him, you know, because he wasn't just saying it's gonna rain. I'm pretty sure that the message he would sometimes say is, because of your guys' sin, because you guys are doing wrong, because you guys have ignored who God is, because you guys have turned away from God, is the reason why this judgment is going to come. Change your ways. And I feel like that message, just like everyone nowadays, is gonna offend the world. You know, the Bible said the last days will be like the times of Noah. And right now everyone's getting offended because they are separating the difference between truth and what feels good. You know, and to them, it's like, if you're telling me something and it hurts my feelings, obviously it's not true. Back then, I feel like they even reacted in that way, and they would attack Noah. They would attack him audibly. They would attack him through words. They would attack him even maybe physically, maybe through certain things, certain pranks or whatever. They were just doing evil things in his process of building his home and the vessel that was going to save his family. So one of the ingredients and one of the things that he added to the ark is this. He added tar. And not only did he add it on the outside, he added it on the inside. And what's the purpose of this? Why did he add tar? Tar was going to make the ark waterproof. It was going to prevent water from getting in to the ark. It was going to prevent the water that was essentially sent from God's judgment to enter into the ark. And it was because he not only put wood together to build, he actually sealed it with tar. in our lives, what we have to do is we may have the structure, we may have a plan, we may have priorities in place, we may have this and that we have, but we need to assure that we are sealing it with prayer. We are sealing it with God's will. We are assuring that what we're building is being led by God, so that we know that once we do that, once we know that what we are building is in line to what God wants, nothing can stand up against it. No flood, no rain, no people, no economic change, no gas price, no nothing can change, can destroy what God has called you to build. So I want to encourage you this week, look at what you are building, and don't forget, build that foundation, that stability, build those walls, build that security, and build that roof, that serenity, that peace. Allow those aspects of what you are building to be a part of it. Think about it and pray to God so that He could continue to guide your steps in the process. So be encouraged. Thanks so much for joining us for this Devo, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless. You want to hear something funny, dude? That's something funny. If you ever need an arc, let me know.
Yeah,
I know a guy. You know why he's so good? He's an architect. You know what kind of lights did Noah have on the ark? Floodlights. Here's another one. Where did Noah keep his bees? In the archives. In the archives. What did Noah say after he let the dinosaurs in? Welcome to Jurassic Ark.